us is a spiritual survey. I don't know now, maybe 40 something. But this is
Asher.
Asher. All right, we're gonna ask Asher some questions. Okay, you can focus it on. All right, Asher. What is your spiritual background, if any?
None.
None. Not Buddhist, Hindu.
No.
Okay. So what made you get to this place of having no spiritual background?
I traveled a lot as a kid, all around the world. Religion was never really. My mom's Roman Catholic, or baptized Roman Catholic. I traveled all over. It never was really a part of my life. It was never something regular. I mean, I experienced all sorts of religions. I lived in Singapore and Hong Kong, so I got a lot of Confucianist and sort of Buddhist ideas over there. And I grew up in California, and I grew up in the Deep South. Costa Rica, we are very predominantly Christian. Europe, to a certain extent, because I'm from England.
You may want to have to get a little closer to catch his voice over this music.
Europe is
That's good.
that doesn't make me
But get
nervous.
comfortable.
Europe is pretty non-secular, really, except for sort of the South, where you have the Pope and Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox. But in England, we don't really. Religion isn't a major part anymore.
Right.
And
And so
just
you
having
grew up a
grown
little
up
bit-
and seen all these other religions, it was really hard for me to define and pinpoint one that I really sort of could focus on.
Right. So,
I think there's a lot of good philosophies. Personally, I think there's a lot of good philosophies out there,
but not exactly choosing one.
right.
All right. Well, so without choosing maybe one different, belief system, what is your belief? How did we get here? How did all this earth and physical beings talking?
Lots of good luck.
Lots of good luck.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not Stephen Hawking, so.
Right. But so maybe you tend more towards the evolutionary process of
Yeah.
Big Bang. It all happens. No great deity or anything.
I don't know
like
much
that.
about the Big Bang, so I couldn't really comment too much on that. I don't know what happened. All I can say is that what we can prove, rocks that are billions of years old, etc. That I can understand. But as far as the theoretical probabilities of the Big Bang and so forth, I haven't really dived in, so I can't really comment on too much.
Okay. Well,
I'm more sort of that person that will comment on stuff that I've actually read up
no,
on.
yeah, that's great. No, that's great.
and
So,
informed of.
well, then, in your opinion, where did we get things like morality? And is there such thing as morality? Is there such thing as right and wrong? Can you definitely say, hey, there is a right, there is a wrong?
I think society, to a big point, a certain aspect defines right and wrong. And I think people have, like I said before, have good philosophies of what we should do as a race or as a species over others. But I don't think there's one right or wrong answer. I think it's all down to interpretation. It's like putting something into context or taking something out of context. If you say one thing and it's meant in jest in this context, somebody could easily turn around and say it's out of context. So I think it depends on the person, it depends on the culture and society in general.
And I can see that. But what about issues that, let's say, in context, I raped and murdered your 3-year-old daughter.
Okay.
In that context,
That's not cool, by the way.
is there a right and wrong?
Yeah, I think society depicts whether that's right or wrong to a certain extent. Regardless, you hear a lot of stories of victims that forgive their
Abusers.
yeah, the abusers, and that's down to their own. But I think society determines that raping a 3-year-old child is wrong, regardless of what I would view wrongly in the eyes of society. And I do actually think I would agree with society in this case that that's probably that is definitely wrong.
That would be definitely wrong. You would have a pretty strong emotional tie to that.
Yeah, I would.
To that process. So what gives
I love the blender in
society?
the background. It's awesome.
What's that? I know that. So what gives society the right to say what is right and wrong?
I think it's a collective. I think. See, that's a good question. I wasn't prepared for that question. I think society determines that killing someone is.
What's up, man? I'm in the middle of an interview. You can sit down and hang out with me.
I think society determines that's wrong. That to kill someone is to take someone else's life without provocation is wrong. Certainly a 3-year-old.
So in essence, society gets to dictate what's right and wrong. What if society goes to one extreme or the other? Does that still make it ultimately right? If society says it's no longer wrong to kill and rape your children, like some other cultures maybe
I think
have.
that's a pretty extreme example. I think society progresses, certainly. I think what we are as society, or what we believe in today, is far more progressive than what we experienced 50 years ago, 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. I think as a species we progress, and I think that whether you to your liking or to not to your liking, it's really out of your control, sort of thing. I don't think that's not fair. I don't think
He's pointing at a coffee.
Yeah. I don't think that. I think that the rape and killing is probably an extreme example. I think you could go to it. Killing, for instance. In most of Europe, we don't have capital punishment. There is no more. There is no more capital punishment. The last person I think that was executed. Yeah. I think the last person that was killed in England was in 1973, and they were executed by hanging. It was the last person executed. And I'll give you a prime example. The guy in Norway who went and killed 70 some odd people. He won't die for what he did. I think that society in Europe has decided that regardless of how many people you kill, that they shouldn't be able to take your life.
So in essence, society has become a little bit more forgiving. Is that what they've done, or is it more of a
forgiving? No, I think they've adopted an ethos that and perhaps it's a religious thing where maybe God is the only person that can take a person's life rather than man.
Right. So it might have a moral, push
Potentially.
behind it. Okay. Well, just a few more questions and we'll wrap up. Again, thank you. You
No worries.
had some really good replies here.
We're on the spot.
We're on the spot. No, that's great. Yeah, I mean, these are some pretty tough questions.
Stay in school, don't do drugs.
Have you ever had any negative or positive things to say about Christianity? If you were to look at, from the outside, obviously, what do you say? What are pros and cons?
Well, I'm a little bit biased here, but the negatives, certainly moving here to Tennessee and in the South, I think the negatives vastly outweigh the positives for me. And that's probably because I've grown up a lot of places where religion hasn't been sort of pushed on people. I feel to a certain extent here in the States at least, or in the South, that religion is sort of, it's out there, but it's sort of an in-your-face out there. And I think that gives it a really negative look.
Right.
There are positives, people getting together and providing moral support, providing relief to communities. I went through the floods here a couple of years ago, and my house got flooded, and I had I had a lot of Christian organizations give me food and help and everything, and that was very generous of them. And I did, in turn, turn around and make a donation for their help when I was back on my feet. And I think that builds a community to a certain extent, but I think a lot of it can be viewed in a negative way by a lot of people. They didn't force themselves upon me. I believe that you should have your freedom to choose what you believe in, not be pushed or peddled door to door, tell you what you should believe
So what would be, just for a learning process, what would be some other negatives? You said it outweighed the positives. Or maybe some other ones. So
I think the ethos that is given to not hardcore Christians, but like people that delve very deep into their religion to a certain extent, I think have an aura about them that it's kind of hard to describe. trying to put it into a description. It's they push it on people all the time, even when subconsciously